For any Nickelodeon fan of the mid-2000s, you'd probably remember the abundance of Nick games that stem from their top shows across the 6th generation of consoles. Perhaps one of the more famous of the bunch is Nicktoons Unite. For someone like me who was a kid during that time and was a major fan of the channel, you'd probably already be sold on the concept alone. I mean, for fuck's sake, a crossover of the best Nicktoons shows with its own original plot? What kind of a fan would I have been to pass that up? It eventually grew into its own series, but the first one is probably the one that sticks out the most in people's minds. And not really for good reason, because the game itself is just the epitome of mediocrity. Which is why I feel it's kind of a shame that this is the one that people would remember the most, when its sequel, Volcano Island, is actually a really solid game. This time around, I want to do a quick comparison video of Nicktoons Unite and Volcano Island to see which one really holds up the best. Okay, obviously it's Volcano Island, but I just want to show why this should be the Nicktoons game to remember over Nicktoons Unite. Okay, first things first, look at fucking Jimmy Neutron! How many jokes about this guy can you come up with before you finally decide to shoot yourself? I'd rather they have at least ripped the model from the Attack of the Twonkies video game, because that model looks 1,000 times more faithful. Wait, which one came first? So let's have that awkwardly segue into the graphics. Now I can't really mince words here, these graphics are ass. Especially by 2005 standards, these graphics just reek of quick cash grab effort. Every model and animation is just so awkward and stiff and lifeless and not a whole lot to say about this that you can't just see for yourself. But on the other end, Volcano Island is a notable improvement. Graphics still have that awkward stiffness to them, but the animation is top notch. And this is especially true if you look at the cutscenes. Well, at least when you compare it to Nicktoons Unite, it looks really good. Volcano Island might still not look too good for the time it came out, but you could definitely see that polish to its presentation that just wasn't there in Nicktoons Unite. Or at the least, they had very little of it. I think this is pretty cut and dry. Graphically, Volcano Island is a noticeable improvement over Nicktoons Unite. They still look pretty similar-ish, but you can see that there's more effort that was put into Volcano Island over the last game. Personally, I find the music in Nicktoons Unite to be awful, of what little there is. There's something up with the sound design because the voices and sound effects are much louder than the soundtrack, so much so that I forget that there even is a soundtrack. But really though, forgettable doesn't even begin to describe the music in Nicktoons Unite. Fucking Guy Moon and his noun-ass names. Just for a comparison, this is what you're great with in Nicktoons Unite. And this is what you agree with in Volcano Island. Right off the bat, you're shown that Volcano Island has a soundtrack worth tolerating. In fact, more than just tolerating, the music in the game is actually pretty damn good, at least for a licensed game. Much more memorable than that noise you hear in Nicktoons. Again, this is a category hardly worth comparing. Volcano Island is just an easy win for this. Now isn't this the stuff of fanfictions? The story of Nicktoons Unite is that Professor Calamitous has joined forces with the villains of the other Nicktoons, those being Vlad, Plankton, and Crocker, to do evil stuff, I guess. I don't actually remember too well what the plot was. Gist of it is, our heroes gotta beat the villains in their respective worlds. It's basically just about what you'd expect from this kind of crossover. Volcano Island's plot is a bit more original in that many heroes have been summoned in order to defeat the Magu, who wants to destroy the worlds because it's just what bad guys do. Those heroes, of course, being the Nicktoons. I don't think I can really fault Unite's plot for being kind of predictable, because the premise here is all what you'd expect to see if you first heard about the game. But I still gotta give props to Volcano Island for taking more creative liberties in its narration. Because they could have easily have just recycled the last plot and said, oh, Calamitous is back again, now our heroes gotta put a stop to the villains again. Not to mention the original settings in Volcano Island. Speaking of which, let's look at the levels. Nicktoons Unite follows a structure when it comes to its level design. Just hop around the worlds of the Nickelodeon characters, Jimmy's lab being the hub world of sorts. The order of the worlds being Danny, SpongeBob, Timmy, and Jimmy. I can at least credit Nicktoons Unite's levels for being varied. Well, except Jimmy's worlds. But then we look at Volcano Island, where everything is original. And not just that, I feel like each level is well designed and really complements the tropical setting of the game. I mean, there's a sinking ship, the ruins, a forest, and everything just fits and is well designed to accommodate the environments. Also, the hub world in this one just kicks the ever-living shit out of Jimmy's dirty-ass lab. Though if there's one thing I can finally hand over to Nicktoons Unite, it's the game length. As I mentioned, you explore the worlds of each of the Nickelodeon characters, with each having 3 separate locales. For example, Danny has the Ghost World, Amity Park, and Vlad's Mansion. All of them being pretty sizable, and that applies for everyone else. But in Volcano Island, there's only around 9 or 10ish levels, and some of them don't take very long to complete. In fact, the game would only take around a few hours all the way through, definitely shorter than its predecessor. Well, congratulations Nicktoons Unite, you finally won something over your counterpart. By being more monotonous and longer to beat, let's go over gameplay. Nicktoons Unite follows another structure in the gameplay department. Solve a few puzzles, beat some enemies, and move on. How thrilling. At least you can upgrade stats and gain new abilities, though some of the abilities are just completely situational. Like Jimmy's flare gun for instance. Sorry Nerdtron, but those shades aren't gonna cut it. The game tends to feel formulaic in that regard, though one thing to look forward to is running into characters of these cartoons. Some are voiced and some are not, but now Volcano Island. Biggest reason why it's better than Unite is its gameplay is vastly improved. The base combat feels so much more engaging, the platforming doesn't feel like a slog, and there's a couple more characters to play this time around, though only for certain levels. On the downside, Volcano Island is just a 2-player game rather than 4, but as a single-player experience, it's eons beyond what Nicktoons Unite was. When it comes to game sequels that I personally think have surpassed their predecessors, I think of Majora's Mask. But after that, Metal Gear Solid 2. Well, somewhere along that list is Volcano Island. Anyways, hopefully this comparison video has shed some light as to why Volcano Island deserves to have some recognition. Maybe not among the best games of the GameCube PS2 generation, but it's certainly worth taking a look at, especially for fans of Nickelodeon during the mid-2000s.